So the Nasdaq collapsed for the third straight day in a row. Are we gonna see a fourth straight day? In today's video, we gotta look at what to expect for tomorrow. We're also going to be looking at one stock that just had earnings today and how its reaction to earnings is going to affect the overall market. Now, let's dive into the charts right off the bat. We got the Nasdaq, and yeah, I'm not surprised. I told y'all the bears are still in control. We fell below 25,000 yesterday. And then I told you guys that we were going to go lower, but I used the SPY instead. And I drew that green circle right here at 68,010 to tell you guys exactly where it was going to end up today, which it did. And then after hours, it decided to fade even lower. Now, is this the bottom? Is this the part where we slowly bounce and we make a recovery? To be honest, I'm not so sure we bounce massively. And even if we do bounce, we only going to trade sideways like this to allow the moving average to catch up before we take another turn down, right? Like the bears are still in control, and until this one or QQQ gives us a reason to be bullish, we stay bearish on the overall markets and we don't fight the trend. All right, the daily chart also looks bearish on the SPY, and this is the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is a lot more aggressive. Let's see here. The level of support for the Nasdaq is down here at 23,911. And the Dow Jones, let's check out the Dow Jones. This one just turned bearish today, actually. It literally just broke below and the bears have taken over the Dow Jones. So don't fight the trend. Fighting the trend isn't a wise move. Now, let's check out the VIX, VIX, and let's see how that's doing. Now, this makes sense. This right here is what I've been waiting for since the middle of January, right? Option number 1 versus option number 2. Right now, we're just following option number 2, and we're slowly making our way to 28 for the VIX. And if I'm bullish on the VIX, then obviously, I don't think we're gonna bounce in a major way. I really don't trust any bounce. That's what I would say, okay? And even take a good look at the bigger picture. Take a good look at the bigger picture. The volume is increasing, especially from last week. That's the previous candle. Let me clean up the chart for y'all. The previous candle is this is called a gravestone doji. Right there, okay? And then this one is definitely going to close below 25,000, which is confirmation of the bearish trend. And the way it's looking, it's not looking good. Like, it's not looking great. It's really, really not. It's really not. So I think there will be more downside next week, but we'll reserve that for future videos. Now, the stock that we're going to discuss today, it just had earnings and it moved it surprised me. It surprised me a lot. Amazon, all right? And it surprises me because I was expecting something similar to Palantir before the fall. Not an immediate fall like this. This is quite rapid. I wasn't anticipating that at all. It dropped by 10% after the company beat earnings. The majority of the Mag 7 stocks, they usually just beat earnings, but the past 2 weeks, they've been falling despite the beat. And I say I'm not surprised, or I'm say I'm not totally surprised because of this. There is a bear flag. There's a bear flag on the daily chart. So the move down was not surprising. I just thought it would look like this first on Friday before we really fall next week. Right? But this is way ahead of schedule. But it's there. How low is it going to get now that we are at 200 per share? Well, we got room. That's the good news. If it can open at like 205, play some games maybe, then there will be a very, very, very nice setup for next week for the move down. All right, the move down to 193. All right, a move down to take care of the gap below, but it has to be very nice, like the same way where, because I took a trade similar to this with Microsoft and shorted it from 433 all the way down to 411. And then I switched my attention over to Tesla to short that one instead. All right. Ultimately, Microsoft dropped to 395 like I told you it would. We made money on Tesla. You made money on Microsoft. Maybe you made money on Tesla too. All right. Maybe you made money on both. Either way, we all got paid. If you've been watching this channel, you've been bearish for like a whole week, so all of you should have gotten paid. All right. Now for this one, I expect similar price action compared to Microsoft, right? So hopefully it stays here, plays around 205, 200, and just chill in this box right here above 200. And then there will be one day, one of these days, is going to set up a nice structure for the move down. And 193 is literally right there. All right. So watch it for a potential rejection of 205 before you try to short this thing. The good news is the contracts are going to be very, very, very cheap because it's Amazon. The contracts are always cheap, and the fact that they added more expiration dates, it's really, really good news. All right, for anybody who is looking to trade cheap contracts. So definitely keep your eyes out for Amazon for the gap fill at 190. Now, the next stock that we're going to discuss in today's video is Apple. It's been a while that I've talked about Apple, and Apple have done something quite surprising. It's been moving in the opposite direction of the indices. While the indices and a lot of stocks have been collapsing, Apple has been showing a lot of strength and has been rising since the last earnings report. Right here from the 29th of January. It formed a bullish pennant and just ran away, right? Bullish pennant was right here. And then the beginning of February, we popped up. And then we just stayed higher and stayed higher and stayed higher. When is it going to stop? When is it going to roll over? I'm not quite sure yet. Like I'm not quite sure yet. I have an alert right at 273. Because when it rings, I want to day trade it short to the downside down to 270. It's not a massive move, but it is somewhat predictable, right? That's why I have my alert there. And the contracts on Apple are really, really cheap. So a $3 move could double the value of my contracts depending on my entry, right? So that's why I'm looking at it, keeping an eye on it. Eventually it's going to follow everything else in the market because the other Max 7 stocks, they're down by at least negative. The last time I checked, it was a negative 18%, negative 24%, negative 28%, and negative 21%. And that is for Amazon, Meta, I believe Nvidia, and Tesla. Yeah, these four stocks. They're down by these percentages, right? But this one is only down 5%. Eventually, it's going to catch up with the other ones. Eventually, it's going to roll over. So don't get too greedy to the long side if you are bullish on the stock. Just watch it and patiently wait for the trend to change on a daily chart. And when it does, you might want to switch your stance. That way you don't miss out on the money down below. Okay. Now, the other one that we're going to check is, again, I mentioned Tesla earlier. Congrats to anybody who made money on this one. We definitely made money on this one. Quite a clean play. I told y'all, very, very clean. The appropriate entry for it was right here, right at 414. And the appropriate exit, y'all know my style. When I short something and then it dives in my favor, right? Whether I short here or I short here, I'm immediately selling half out the gates. Immediately, I'm collecting money. immediately, right? And then whatever happens afterwards is just a bonus for me, all right? So it popped up a little bit back to 400, and then it took a dive down to 387. I was off by like $2.50. I told y'all 285. I know what I said. I know. All right. But the move ain't done yet. Again, the futures are red. We could get even more red, and we could hit 380 even tomorrow, right? So, but I was very close. I was very close for that low for today. But eventually it's going to get there. Now the next one that we gotta look at, somebody mentioned in the comment section. Again, if you disagree with anything that I'm saying, and you want to argue with me, I will meet you in the comment section. Somebody asked me to look at SMCI. And with SMCI, this is probably the worst semiconductor stock among the semiconductors. Right? The stock choppy, beaten down, and consolidating at 30. Do I trade this? The answer is no. I don't look at this. I really don't. It had earnings earlier. It popped up, and then it immediately gave back all of those gains. Where is it gonna go? I don't really know. I don't really care. I'm not touching this. All right. Find something better than SMCI. All right. Find something better. Yeah, that's my very honest thoughts on all of these stocks, and that is the end of the video. Reminder: I am not your financial advisor. Do your own research, because sometimes I am wrong. Sometimes. Okay. Don't forget to follow my social media at Paul and Guman, at Knowledge Lab on Instagram and on X. And lastly, don't forget to like and follow for more.